Hello, Matthew Williams here, bringing you a quick video to talk to you about Claire Perry's Facebook page. So, it seems like hardly anybody at all has commented on this. She's only got 151 likes, which is not a lot. I've got 600 on mine. And also, I manage a page, Reporter Crop Circle, that has 70,000 people like it. So, never mind, Claire, maybe one day, eh? So basically, she says, yesterday, she says, so proud of number 2, about to compete in rowing championships in the velodrome. Number 2. So proud of number 2. Right? She doesn't explain who number 2 is. So Matthew Williams says, who or what is number 2? A friend or relative? 4th of February, Labour on a 3-line red tie whip today. Shame that can't be organised with policies. So Matthew Williams has said, any chance we mere mortals can have that in English? Flu equals no fun. Oh, I say, Matthew Williams says, oh, nobody said oh but me. You'd think that somebody else would have chimed in, but 1 month on, you're probably over your flu by now, and only me said oh. Shameful that nobody from your stupendous 140 likes cared enough to say get well soon. Okay, 29th of January. This is from her Gazette and Herald column, newspaper. Westminster is gripped with a 100-day fever as the countdown to election ticks on. Like all MPs, I'm getting new photos, ordering and making plans to take our battle bus, which is her VW camper van. Just make sure your VW camper van doesn't break down because they've got really crap engines in them, Claire. And usually only people who've got way too much money who like to spend thousands of pounds replacing the engines all the time actually bother to get VW camper vans because they're pretty unsafe on the road, pretty slow. If you drive them at 70, the engines blow up. But anyway, hey, that's your battle bus, is it? I hope it battles its way all the way around the constituency without letting you down. Anyway, she's going to go to as many places as possible when the campaign kicks off at the end of March, right? Blah, 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 blah. And I just say, well, okay, it would be good if you could post online on your own page and the Wiltshire Conservative page a list of your events, because it seems that you are nowhere meeting nobody as you have no events at all listed. Coming up to the elections, I would have expected a raft of public events publicised. Advertised, hustings, meeting with local communities, all this sort of stuff. No, but other MPs are doing it. James Gray, who's a Conservative for Cairn region, he's got his events up there. Claire hasn't. And I've written to her about this, but not had a reply yet. Spire FM says, news 900 army homes on Salisbury Plain. So Matthew Williams says, pity we can't see massive housing developments for the poor around Devizes. You see? Nice for the army to get new houses, isn't it? And then I also go on to say, shame we can't have Ms. Perry championing low-cost housing for the poor people rather than for the people who train to kill people. Claire Perry on the 20th of January posts retweeted Margot James's post, which says, Labour MPs leaving the chamber in droves before the end of parliamentary questions, like fans of a losing team before the end of a game. Really? Is that what you like to degenerate to then, is it, Claire? Perhaps you should have started a sing-song, at the end of, at the end of the day before the PMQs. When all the Labour candidates were going out, maybe you should have just got there at the front and started going, you're a bunch of losers, you're a bunch of losers. Hey, Claire, you could have got there with and started a big sing-song, like as the Labour's like, losers, losers, you're losers. Just put a few expletives in there, like, for a good... Nice one. 28th of January, a picture which Claire says represents CCHQ press office posted a photo on Twitter. And Matthew Williams says, and the significance of this is, what is CCHQ even? Claire doesn't explain herself, you see. She just like puts things out there, and she hopes that this is just going to sink into the minds of the masses that don't actually have a clue what she's talking about. On the 22nd of January, she posts a picture saying, safer, more secure communities. And I remember on the day that this was out hearing something on the radio where it said there's been a tendency amongst the police to not report crimes into the systems. And this has been criticised. So therefore, if the police don't report the crimes into the systems, therefore it will make it look like there is less crime. So the police have actually been pulled up on this now and told to report all things into the system so that the figures can actually be correct. Also, if you have less police are going to be doing more work, so less likely to report things into the system. On the 22nd of January, Claire Perry posted a tweet repeat of an article that was in the Guardian newspaper, and considering it's like about Devizes, which is Claire's constituency, I've just chimed up and said, it's good to finally have you move to Pewsey, Claire, and be in the constituency you actually represent. After all your years of living in Salisbury, and prior to your becoming an MP, having no family or upbringing connection to the area you ended up becoming an MP for. But things can only get better now, eh? On the 22nd of January, Claire says, I'm holding another recovery summit with Southern Rail UK on February the 2nd. So, Matthew Williams has said, it was curious to see, Claire, that you voted against the capping of reduction of rail fares. I'm curious, do you think that rail fares should increase then, considering you voted against the capping of prices? On the 22nd of January, Claire said, daily performance monitoring plan, compensation discussions and route/capacity reviews all happening. Matthew Williams says, it might be an idea to write all of this on Facebook in one posting rather than splitting what you're talking about into 4 paragraphs into 4 posts. Because I had to read down 4 posts to realise what she was actually talking about before I could realise that what she was talking about was referring to rail issues. Really very clear on description in Facebook. Claire Perry has posted on the 17th of December that she has retweeted a CCHQ press office. What is CCHQ, Claire? I don't understand. Don't know what that is, sorry. You don't explain yourself. So it says that full-time employment is up 560,000 and part-time up 28,000 on last year. So 560,000 people more are in work at the moment. Yeah. So Matthew Williams says, curious, does this figure include those ill people and people with cancer who are forced to go back into work because of Atos saying they are fit to work? Those sorts of figures of people who are, quote, back in work should not count, in my opinion. And a bit further on, I've actually pointed out as well that people who are in part-time jobs doing 1 hour a week actually class as being employed, so get added to the figures. On the 17th of December, Claire Perry says, presumably Nigel Farage, nasty party, would repatriate all the foreign nurses supporting patients in our precious NHS. Right? So Matt Williams says, Nigel Farage, nasty party? Excuse me? Nasty party? You kind of degenerating to calling them the nasty party? Because this is like, Conservatives taking digs, at sort of like UKIP. So I just pointed out, I said, well, what are the Conservatives with bedroom tax then? The happy party? Question mark? Wanting to resume hunting, like Cameron wants to bring hunting back in, which Claire Perry supports, bringing hunting back in. So, let's rub ripped up foxes' blood on the faces of our children. Let's rub those foxes' blood in the faces of our children, is it then, Claire? This is a good example to our children of how we should be, dealing with animal cruelty. I don't know. I mean, it just makes me think that she's very one-sided when she starts hitting out with these descriptives like the nasty party, when it could easily be applied to the Conservatives. Straight away, Claire, in another post right underneath this one, she's gone, I retweeted the UKIP Trumpton picture. Mr. Mayor and Mr. Troop inspected Mr. Powell's new logo for the Trumpton Town Hall, and it's called Poundland Trumpton. Okay, so she's having a little dig at UKIP again. So somebody has posted, called Matthew Williams, who points out, if we are getting all picture orientated, could I possibly chime in with some funny pictures of my own? Here's one I created relating to the fracking issue and how it interfaces with Claire Perry. I hope Claire has a sense of humour on how I interpret her current position on fracking. Just for fun, of course, Claire. And there's my picture, and it says, 1950, smoking is good for you, says doctors. More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. So, 1950, smoking is good for you. 2015, says Claire Perry, fracking is good for you, yeah? Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. As long as there's some cash in your friend's pockets, Claire. Yum, 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 yum. Fracking, fracking, fracking. Yeah. Perry on the 11th of December says, weather warning from Scottish and Southern Electric. I wanted to inform you that we're expecting bad weather that could cause disruptions to our electricity work. Our forecast suggests that tonight winds could reach speeds of 65 miles an hour in coastal areas, dropping to 55 miles an hour inland. Okay, and so Claire's put this up on her page as a public service announcement. So Matthew Williams points out, didn't the Conservatives want to get rid of cold weather payments to the poor? So thanks for the weather report. You know, it brings it home to us when you remind us of how cold it is, when we won't be getting our cold weather payments if the Conservatives have their way. So thanks for the weather report. It just makes us feel all that more cold. And Claire on the 11th of December, she's very busy at writing all these little posts, you know. She says, please don't believe all you read about zombie parliaments and underemployed MPs perfecting their online gaming skills. I have never been busier. And most of my colleagues appear to be flat out too, campaigning in their constituencies, speaking in the Commons, organising meetings and writing to me about their railways. We all choose to spend our time in different ways, but one thing seems to unite all parliamentarians at this time of year, blah, 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 blah. Okay, Claire, I've been on your events page on your personal website, and I've also been onto the Wiltshire Conservatives website, and you are not speaking anyway. You have no speaking engagements at all advertised. Nothing. And you haven't had any in the past, and you haven't got any coming up. Yet when I wanted to see her for 15 minutes, I think she shat herself, and then suddenly it was all cancelled, which was like because of serious parliamentary business, which I've still got to get to the bottom of what that was. But she cancelled it, and when I met with her, it was via phone. So I didn't actually meet with her. I spoke to her on the phone. There were three of us in the car, and at the end of it, I said, I don't think this has all really been dealt with. Can I actually get to meet you to discuss this? And she said, no, you had your 15 minutes now. I'm very, very busy. But she's very busy. She's too busy, you see, to meet her constituents like me, you know, and the two other people in the car. She's too busy to meet us. But she is the governor of 2 schools. So in addition to being an MP, she's a transport minister, and she decided to take on board being a governor of 2 schools. So I guess the reason I can't meet Claire Perry is because she's taken on so much work, like the being governor of 2 schools, which she decided to do after she became an MP. That makes me feel much better to know that I can't be seen, because being a governor of 2 schools that her kids are probably in is more important. Well, of course it is more important to her than meeting me. On the 9th of December, Claire says there's an awe-inspiring sunrise over the Didcot Parkway railway station. Okay, that's what she means, but she didn't say it. So she assumes everybody knows what she means by Didcot Parkway. So let's start again. An awe-inspiring sunrise over Didcot Parkway railway station. Okay, soon to have a £10 million upgrade. The train still almost empty, she says. So I point out to Ms. Perry, maybe you should ask Wiltshire Council why does it feel it should fund empty buses to drive all over Wiltshire, which they are, mostly empty buses that drive all over Wiltshire every hour, right? With the money, why do they fund it? Why do Wiltshire Council fund it with the money gained from car parking meters? Okay, so let me just run this by you again. They fund buses driving around Wiltshire with nobody on them from the money gained from car parking meters in Wiltshire, which are overpriced and, to my belief, actually stop people shopping because they don't want to put money in the meters, so they do very quick shopping and they get the hell out of there and they don't browse. So that's why Devizes is closing its doors to loads of businesses, because the businesses are not selling stuff because people don't want to pay the parking charges. But the parking charges they do pay funds these empty buses. So basically, everybody who lives in Wiltshire will know that there are vast distances from the small villages to the major provincial towns like Devizes, and loads of people live out in the countrysides. They live on farms, they live in villages, they live on the sides of the roads, but they live in places that are inaccessible and don't have bus services. Most of these places don't have buses that travel through them. So most people who live in Wiltshire have got a car, or access to a car, or travel via car. Okay? And therefore, why should people who have a car, because they have a job and they live in out-of-the-way places, right? Why should the people with cars pay for buses? The people who have cars have obviously made the sensible choice in order to own something that will get them from A to B cheaper than a bus. It cost me, I think it was about £6 to get from my village to Devizes, which is about 4 or 5 miles away. And it cost me about £6 to go 6 miles, right? £1 a mile. That is not cheap. That is why people have things called cars. So if this enterprise of driving buses around Wiltshire is supposed to help everybody who hasn't got a car, then why isn't it everybody who's paying for it? Why is it just the people with cars are paying for buses to be there? Why isn't it everybody who's paying for buses to be there from their council tax? So it's fair. This silly thing of having empty buses driving around the place all day is burdened by the types of people that are going to use them, i.e. the people who don't have cars. But oh my God, I'm sensing a brainwave here. You mean why don't the people who don't have cars, hang on, the ones who don't have the cars, who are most likely to use the buses because they don't have a car, why aren't they the ones funding the buses? Because they're the ones that use them. Why should the ones who don't use the buses, because they've got a car, be funding a service that they won't use because they've got a car? Oh my God. I wonder if it's that simple, Claire. Wow. So when you're talking about empty trains roaming around the place, yeah, why don't you think about the buses? So anyway, that's enough for today. I mean, get on Claire Perry's website, have a little read, and let her know what you think. So thanks very much for watching.